and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting brought to you by Downtown Gun Rapids, Inc. We will begin shortly. Please keep your sound on.
We got.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. My wife found it at home in a file that she had mine. Oh, it's either Mike or Joe Crawford.
Okay. The idea is goofy.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, when's this?
Huh?
You see it at the bottom is the idea is goofy.
All right, let's call it meeting to order. This is a Downtown Improvement District Board of Directors meeting. We do have a quorum. We do have a new member with us, board member with us today, Mr. Peter Albertini down here on my right. You want to raise your hand, Peter? Tell us a little bit about who you are or what you do or did do or are doing.
Not to put you on the spot or current and you kind of present it. I went through this the last time I was here. So
This is second meeting.
Oh, you were last meeting?
I make such an impression on people.
That tells you how old I am.
Let's not get into that. Thank you.
Well, we don't need to do that. Yeah, that's Pat. Good, we got a good. All right, first item. Oh, first, I passed around an article from 20 years ago. A little history. My wife found this somewhere in a file that she had, or of my files. But this was, I'm trying to recall, this was early in the process of setting up the DID, Downtown Improvement District, and we were having various meetings with groups around the city, and obviously at that time the press was a little more active than it is today, and a good friend of mine is Mike Lloyd. I need to find out if Mike wrote this or Joe Crawford, but I found it very interesting, and it brought back a lot of memories. But obviously, this was before the finalization of the budget and the city commission approval and all that stuff, so it did get slimmed back and cut back from here. The district got cut back pretty significantly, as did the budget, so, but it's a little bit of 21-year, 22-year history. Yeah. Pat, you remember that, don't you? Yeah. Did you, everybody, you got a copy? Yeah. So I thought it would be entertaining for all of us, or certainly part of history to see. All right, with that, we will move into the approval of the minutes of our previous meeting on July 20th. Been distributed. Hopefully you've had a chance to read them, and I will take a motion for approval. Okay, I've got a motion over here with Monica. Did I hear a second somewhere? All right. Good, any changes anybody sees? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, and opposed the same. All right, approved, good. All right, we're gonna go right into downtown visuals report.
Vitals report.
Vitals, sorry.
Marion
Okay.
from our team in Wallace.
It's the tab, Marion, at the top left. Nope, it's cool. There you go.
I'm Marion. I'm here to introduce the now DID Downtown Vitals report. This is a report that originally was born out of COVID. We were kind of trying to track some of the metrics downtown, trying to track the health of downtown, and as we realized that this was a report that a lot of people really enjoyed, that could be more than just out of COVID. We changed it into the Vitals report, removed some of the more COVID-specific things, and made it more of a just kind of tracking month over month and year over year, year-to-date changes. We've been providing this to the DDA for a while now, and had an epiphany one day that maybe the DID would also benefit from its own report. So this is your first iteration of it. Let's see. First page is going to be a summary slide with some editorial notes. This will change. If you don't have a lot of time, this will be kind of your summary of the month over month and year-to-date changes. I should also say this: you will receive this report every time that the DID meets. Is that right? So you will see it in your packet. The editorial notes section will just include what significant changes have been made to the report. Your first slide is going to be your ambassador slide, or statistics. What we will most likely do, I should also say, if this is an ever-growing report, this is an ever-growing project. Right now, this is a bit of a copy and paste from the DDA, but we recognize that this is obviously a different type of board with different interests. So if anybody has any suggestions, any desires, any changes, more than happy to hear them. So with that, right now we just have the previous month and this month's statistics, as well as a year-to-date column, and then a year-to-date in this case 2021 and 2022 comparison. Yeah, of course.
Snow removed, what is that? Crosswalks, tons?
Great question. It's so our snow removal is tracked by the things we remove snow from, since we don't do broad sidewalk removal. So it's things like fire hydrants, crosswalks, curb cuts.
Any incident of
one of those things having snow
Okay,
removed from
thank
around.
you.
We've got a list of business openings and closings with some statistics about the types of businesses, as well as just again a tracking of where that measures up to past years. Same with closings. Then overall vacancy in the district, that's broken up by sub-district, I guess you could call it. Just as an editorial note, the Monroe Center is double counted, that's why it's in gray. It's just since it's the core of the city, it's kind of has a lot of.
Trending this year?
That's
Yeah,
right.
last
So
12
this
months,
is
Good.
it's a month-over-month graph, but it kind of condensed, so it reads kind of funny. But it is a year, last 12 months of vacancy rates.
Question. So on the average vacancy duration, this is just curiosity.
Yeah.
How does that compare, to similarly situated cities?
That's a great question. We track that number specifically in-house. We have like a churn spreadsheet basically of every location and how long they've been, how long between churns. That's a good question though. I'm sure we could find something similar. I don't know if anybody's doing it from like a district perspective, but definitely city to city. So I'll get back to you for sure. Yeah, I'm done here. Office space. So this is through a data stream called CoStar. They are basically the R&D end of LoopNet and Apartments.com. All of their data is kind of compiled there, and they share it with us. So this is just for the DID, and just some month-over-month, or quarter-over-quarter, I should say, versus 5-year comparisons. Housing, same data source, although what is on the right is through us internally. Hotel occupancy, also through CoStar. Pretty self-explanatory, actually. Just this is through a different data source called Placer.ai. We use this to kind of infer what pedestrian activity looks like downtown. So you will see this top line is for specifically visitors, or as they define them as visitors. Then we've got employees and residents. And again, this is a 5-year comparison and then what's going on in 2022 so far. This is for that previous graph, or excuse me, for the past month, June and May, the daily trends, so which days are the most popular versus also the hourly trends. This gets interesting in like the winter versus the summer, in my opinion. And then this is also broken up by subsection or sub-district of the whole district. So we've got loosely Center City, Bridge Street, GRCC, and St. Mary's is kind of bridged as one just because it was the leftover. Hartside, Ionian Division, Hartside, Granville, and Market, and then just Anabawan. And this is the last 12 months. Then we've just got a construction overview, construction and development overview for the district. And then this is just city employment. It no longer belongs specifically to the DID, but it's still interesting to track, even though there are minor changes, but it still can be interesting. And this, again, this was kind of out of COVID, so there was once a big dip. And the way that the graph is made, it looks like it's a big change, but it's at that point only like a couple thousand, I think, for the city, again. On-street parking, got a couple metrics here for you. This is right now for the whole district, the whole DDA. I'm working with Mobile GR to get the parking zones that are just in the DID so we can define this a little bit more for you. And then lastly, dash ridership. This is information we get quarterly, but it's for each month, so it's kind of wonky. And then again, you got your hourly changes and then your 12-month percentage change. With that, questions, comments?
A lot of data.
Tell me about it. Yeah, and again, I'll reiterate, you know, anything that you really want to see or conversely think is not interesting, let me know, and we can make this better and better and better. Great. Cool.
The scooter and the bike data, the usage on that.
Yeah, it's coming. How's that? We're working on that.
Good, thank you. I like the trend. I like to see the trend line.
Yeah, me too.
What's-
That's
Where were we going? Is it coming back? How fast? Right. It's good.
agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That 3-year average is kind of interesting because I don't even know how to wrap my mind around the 3 years that it's been.
Yeah.
So looking at right now, I'm like, oh, there's really a decrease right now from the 3-year average in parking.
Yeah.
But that must
Another
be-
thing with the dash is I actually, a couple of weeks ago, just got the dash data dating back to when it became the dash. So I think we're going to do a comparison of like what it could actually look like versus just the 3-year average where like obviously COVID has really impacted what ridership looks like and what ridership means. So that will be another kind of interesting way to look at it. Because right now obviously it's a little hard to conceptualize what it actually means.
Good, thank you.
You're very
Any
welcome.
other questions? Right, good. Thank you, Monica.
Thanks, Marion.
You are welcome.
Marion, I said Monica. Marion, thanks. All right, snow melt overview.
Oh boy.
I got it. Thanks.
Are you going to do the introduction?
This is George Orphan, you're the CEO of, I don't know your title, but you work for Geotech, or you own Geotech. I'm not really sure how that goes. George is the historian and expert on all things snowmelt, who I talk to all the time and get nervous when I see his number pop up on my phone in the middle of June, because I'm like, uh-oh, who cut something now? But no, George is just here to walk us through the snowmelt, how things are going, some of the stuff we've done over the last year or so, and answer any questions that I think you all might have about the snowmelt.
We've all had a lot of questions over the years, and more recently we were saying, are we approaching the end where it has to be replaced? What's the next 2, 3, 5 years look like? When you get done? That's
This is
part of it.
working. So, I appreciate the questions because I'm kind of a one-on-one type of person. I don't like to stand up here and give speeches. But are we approaching the end? I brought with me, and no, I want to show you this. I brought with me pieces of PEX and more. And back in my office, I have more and more. The unfortunate part is, if you look at the black PEX, that we have water flowing through this, heated up from the steam system. And each one of these pieces in black is the first phase, which is from Ottawa east to Division. And the orange is from Ottawa west to Monroe, on Monroe Center. Each one of these pieces has expanded in an unusual way. So we've not been able to really understand exactly what was happening with the PEX pipe. but it's PEX is polyethylene crosslink. The X stands for crosslink. And that crosslink is supposed to hold the PEX plastic together so it doesn't split. Well, it does split. And right here, I have a piece. I have an associate that I work with down in Detroit, Livonia area. And she has a CT machine. So I took this piece down there to show her and ask her if she'd run it through the CT machine. And she did. And she was very, very surprised at what happens over time with the PEX. It just, the X, the cross-link, gives up and it opens up. And if there's any space in the concrete whatsoever, it'll open up into that concrete space and then start to leak. And how do we find that? It comes bubbling up out of the pavers. And then oh, well, we'll just dig right there. Well, it's not always right there where our problem exists. So we have to dig up an area of pavers and then break the concrete and then search for, pressurize the pipe and search for it. We've been doing this for many, many years now. That's one problem we have, is the PEX itself giving way. The other problem that we have, well, we've got other problems, period. The dig-ups. We have contractors that have been contracted to put dub-downs in, change the sidewalk, change the street, and those contractors don't know us well enough. They don't get a hold of the sidewalk superintendent, and all of a sudden I get this call. They're digging up and they're into the snow melt. We had this last week. Just a contractor was told. One of our guys was on site. He was there for a different purpose. This is at the promenade. And at the promenade, all of a sudden, I get a call, actually from the city, from John Hayes, and he says, "We think we're into the snow melt system." Well, they certainly were. And so we've got to get down there immediately and get that fixed. So dig-ups, and we've had many dig-ups this past year, have been a problem for us. One of the problems is when the system was installed originally, not enough photographs were taken. So when they dig it up, they grab that concrete and they throw it on the truck, and when we get there, all we see is a hole in the ground with nothing there. So we don't know where that snow melt system piping was. So we have to rebuild it either from our photographs, from the drawings, which are not accurate, and so that becomes a problem. The third problem, let's see, what's the third one? Well, the third one are planned dig-ups.
We're having trouble hearing him over here. Can we kill the AC for a minute?
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll try to speak a little louder too. So anyway, we also have planned dig-ups, and the planned dig-ups are such that we can't all the time understand. Well, let me tell you, on the corner of Ottawa and Monroe Center, we were told by the contractor that they weren't going to dig that up. We were told by the engineer, we're not going to get into that, don't worry about it. And I'm driving through downtown just like I usually do, just to check everything. And sure enough, the contractor's down there digging it all up. So I stopped and we got into a discussion, and then they realized what kind of a problem they presented to us. So we do have that situation as well. We have 3 types of snow melt systems. We have Monument Park, which is electric, In the Monument Park area, as we speak, we have 2 zones that are dead. And they've been dead for, I think, 2 years now. And that's been because we haven't been able to get the manufacturer out of Canada here because of COVID. So those systems, now in August, we're going to have those. By the way, how much time do you want me to take? I could be here.
Yeah. 5 more minutes.
Just give me the signal.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
We'll talk about snowmelt
Or
later.
the hook, whichever. Okay, so up by the Children's Museum, we have the situation where we fixed that cable. It's the electric cable. We fixed it 2 years ago, and parking came along and ran some bolts down in so that they could put additional parking meters in. So we lost the system, but we couldn't get the manufacturer here to fix it because of COVID. They can't cross from Canada into Michigan. Then we have another situation where the Civic Theater, because Consumers Energy has a system that is a little bit old-fashioned, a fault occurred in the electric system in the Civic Theater, and that fault backed up into the snowmelt system, caused an overload, and burned out another section that is pretty close to the Children's Museum. So now that has to be repaired as well. So we're into that system. We're continually monitoring the system in Monroe Center, from all the way from Division to Monroe, and that system is just plagued with these types of problems. Did you show this?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so you saw the holes that develop for no reason. They just develop. And then the third system that we're monitoring is in the promenade, Camp Hall Promenade. And that's where this latest dig up took place. And we're also getting, there's things that people don't think about. In the promenade, we've got a cover to our valve box. And of course, somebody drives along with a big truck, city truck, whatever, or a moving truck, and they've, at that point, they crush the cover, and that goes down, and that breaks the valves below, and then we're getting into a repair there. We try really hard to make sure that the person or the company that breaks those ends up paying the bill. But that's not always the case. So oftentimes the bill comes back to DGRI because we can't find the culprit who broke the
That was
system.
the question I just wrote down. Do we try to back charge sounds like most of this is contractor digging where they shouldn't, or being careless, or
A
and
lot
how
of,
much do we recover back charging, or does that mean we pay for it?
So in those instances, when someone digs up the snow melt, we charge them
we
to repair it.
Geotech charges that contractor
Okay.
with our repair costs, and generally DGRI knows it took place, but they don't receive an invoice for it. We invoice directly, and it's just out of your way.
So it's transparent to us, or, no, we don't see it. You bill the contractor direct.
Yeah,
We just know about the work that happens.
you know about it.
Right.
You just don't see the invoice.
That's good, right.
But that's not always the case.
In which case, you gotta get paid.
Yes. And then, of course, the other thing is that through the year, number one, we have a maintenance cost that we charge DGRI. And also, if a contractor if a contractor breaks something and, or is even working on it and we know about it, that cost, our cost, gets sent to DGRI. So we try really hard to keep everything tabulated and so you know what's going on, but there's a lot that's going on. Then there's a lot of things, now getting to where we'd like to go. We'd like to get some expenditure in the snowmelt system. The valve boxes in phase 1, which is east of Ottawa, the valve boxes are in the planters. And then some really, I hate to say this, some really smart person decided to put the baskets on top of the snowmelt boxes that we have. So anytime we have to work on it, we've got to move those boxes, and they weigh, I mean, it takes 4 men and a boy to move them. It's a big expense. It's hard to do. So we'd like to get those moved. And then the valve boxes, when they first designed the system, they said, okay, we're going to do this with a very sophisticated type of valve. Well, that very sophisticated type of valve is now, they're all degrading. The system's been in 22 years. And so that degradation is starting to cost money. And so we'd like to change all those out. So to then go to the answer of when do we expect that we can't keep up with the system and maintenance, I really don't know.
Is this black pipe or the other pipe, are those are deteriorating or the valves deteriorating? What, is there a life to these things?
Yes.
Because you say the black
yes.
pipe's springing leaks, and we don't know why. Oh, they're just giving out.
They're giving up, but we've stayed on top of that part of it pretty good. So we don't know where the next leak is going to be, and we don't know how many there's going to be, but we know they're going to be there.
And they're probably increasing with frequency, I'm assuming?
I don't know.
You know?
We don't track the number every year,
but-
as we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're increasing, but in number, but they do just continue to happen. What happened was in the original construction, and this is a supposition on my part, but it's a pretty good supposition. Originally, when they poured they put the piping in and they poured the concrete, they didn't vibrate the concrete very well. And so there are some air bubbles. Almost always the air bubbles are underneath the pipe. Almost every single time we say, well, I didn't on this one, but I did on this one. I list where the top of that pipe was first seen. We write right on the pipe. This is where the top is. And almost always it goes to the bottom. So we're suspecting that there are air bubbles in the concrete below. And over time, and with heat, that tends to split. This piece of pipe right here is a little hard to see from there, but it's split all the way across here. It's given. It should not do that, but it does. The system we have, I just lost my thought there, but the system we have in the promenade, that one, it was designed by Fishbeck, and they asked us to look at their design to make sure that they didn't miss something. So it was a collaboration between the two engineering firms, and we we took their design and adjusted it so because of the maintenance that we know we need. And that system is probably going to last a long, long time. I feel comfortable with that.
We probably ought
Yeah,
to
take
move on,
questions
but,
really quick if anybody has questions.
yeah, questions of anybody. It's always on, it seems to show up on our agenda now and then because it's an expense and we know at some point, maybe it's gonna have to be replaced and who's gonna do it, so.
Is your Canadian vendor back?
Yes, the Canadian vendor is actually doing work in Grand Rapids at a different site, and so between now and the middle of August, and so we've got him coming over and doing ours. That'll make it less expensive, and so we're happy that's going to work out.
Very excited to get that fixed.
Interesting.
We did a study, didn't we? A lifespan study of the snow melt system?
Yes.
Might be helpful for the new board members to see that,
Yeah.
to be able to look at it, because it didn't seem like such an immediate need when we did the study
Right.
versus what we're now hearing.
I think it was a study that Geotech did a few years ago, but kind of planned out what was gonna be, what they thought
Yeah,
was gonna be
we were
needed.
trying to plan out cost
Right,
because
yeah.
there was a surplus sitting in the snow melt
Yeah,
fund, and so what are we gonna do, right? And then we combined the two districts, right, we just did that recently.
All three, yeah, we
Or,
did.
excuse me, all
Yeah.
three. So they're all together now, but we still had some excess cash, and the question was, should we be reserving cash for a full system replacement or section replacement? And that's where I think we've gotta get back to that. It
Yes.
sounds like,
Right.
based on what we're hearing. It's long-term planning and how we're gonna pay for a new system.
Yeah, it's probably worth evaluating whether or not that study needs to be updated too.
For sure.
I think it predates my time here, so it's at least
Yeah.
3 to 5 years
at
old.
least, right. Probably good to do, right. Good
We,
point.
we want to maintain and babysit the system as long as possible because the replacement cost is astronomical.
Yeah,
I don't mean to scare you, but it is.
we're all speculating, right? We don't like it, yeah. Right,
So, thanks, George.
yeah. Thank you very much, appreciate it, yeah. Good overview, but we can follow up on a couple things. Yeah, maybe we need to get that longer range plan from them.
Yeah, I'm just, I
Redone.
think if we have a surplus, I think we should probably be reserving so much a year.
There's
for
some
the
things that need to be
eventual-
done, we ought to do them.
The eventual replacement.
Preventive.
If we can maintain it for
Right.
the next 20 years, great, but 20 years from now, we're gonna have to pay for it.
Right. Yeah. All right. World of Winners? Thank you, George.
So my name is Megan. I'm the event manager here at DGRI, and I am here to give you a little bit of a World of Winter recap. So first off, I'll show you a video of last year. This was made by our communications team, and it's a conjunction of everything that we did last year. Thank you for that. It's coming off of the computer, but that's fine. So that is a little bit of a recap of last year. I hope you guys got to come out and enjoy some of the things. This is so we'll go into a little bit of data of last year versus the year before. So proposals worldwide, we got 67 versus 50. There was 77 events versus 52. 37 art installations versus 20. We went up in grants to 39, 10 window installations, 100 plus ice sculptures, teamed up with 80 plus businesses with 2 months of activation, which was overall a 57% increase from 2021. So we were busy. And then yes, so that's total attendance coming to Grand Rapids, but yes. Yes, so that, I mean, as you can tell, pre-COVID, it was still a lot higher. And then it dropped during COVID times, and now we're just kind of starting to ramp back up again. So we're still getting there.
Are these only night programs? The stuff we saw seemed to be evening?
We tend to do a lot of stuff in the evening because a lot of what we have to do in winter focuses around light,
Right.
Because it is so dark, and we can't really depend on snow at all. So we can't really do any programming that involves snow because there's a lot of really fun winter stuff that you would think. So we have to focus a lot on light, and it gets dark pretty early too. So this is kind of the stats from our socials. So this will show you we got 13 million impressions through digital advertisements, 165,000 visits to our website, which was a 21% increase from the year before. And we gained 4,400 followers on our social networks. So that's just a little bit of a recap. Does anybody have any questions about that? Nope, okay. So along with our activations team, we also worked with Goal 5 Citizen-Led Alliance to help pick these 2023 art installations for this up and coming year. So I'll give you guys a little bit of sneak peek of that. So the first installation is House of Cards. This one is coming from Israel, and what's really cool about this is we get to actually design 5 of the cards with our local artists, and they get to create their own design for that card, and then those cards will then travel the rest of the world with the rest of the installation, which is really, really cool. So this is actually very interactive as well, so I will show you guys, the next slide will be a video. Hopefully it's, oh, I guess it's playing off the computer. It's a little bit loud, so hopefully, okay. So we're actually not going to have the fencing. Technically, people can climb on them, but we're going to try to not have people climb on them. And we're going to have security over there as well. Because the sign won't
I was like, is
stop
it a
people.
challenge?
Yeah, no, yeah.
What, signs don't work?
Yeah, not very well. So it does like a little show to kind of keep people there. And there's music, which I think is different than this, and a whole like shuffling of the cards. So then the next one is also from OGE Group, so it's coming with them. This is called Angels of Freedom. They're all different shapes and sizes. There's even wheelchair accessible wings as well. So those will go in different spots in downtown. We haven't solidified any of the locations for these quite yet, but that's in the next process. These are roaming gnomes, so these are giant blow-up gnomes. And we are going to be working with Amigo and Amigo again. They were the ones who did Crank Zappa and the Trumpet Flowers last year. They were great to work with, come from Australia. What's cool about this piece is this piece has not been out of Australia yet, so this is the first place it's going to come after Australia. They don't move. No, I wish.
Like, do they move around every night? You gotta try to find them again?
I think they're called that because they're like in different roaming like hangout spots. Like one's like sitting down, one's walking. That's my assumption. And then this one also from Amigo and Amigo is called Affinity. So this is a really cool piece because they actually based it off of Alzheimer's disease. So it's based off of like The bottom cubes, the bottom spheres are like memories, and when you trigger those memories, they trigger other memories, so it's meant to kind of create that connection. And you could put your hand on it, and it interacts and changes colors and all the things. That's the video. Nope. It says no. Okay. So you guys can look it up. It's really cool. This is Talking Heads. This is coming from Light Art Collection. So really cool. These also interact and change. They put this obviously across a canal, which is super cool. But unfortunately, we won't be able to put it on our river quite yet. But hopefully that's stuff that we can look to do in the future. I don't know if this video will play. No? Yeah, and logistically, putting a structural thing of that sort in the river takes a lot of different moving parts, as well as like the electrical and stuff to get it there. So I think just a little bit more time for something like that. So this video won't work either. But then we also have Starry Night, which is also from Light Art Collection. So obviously a rendition of Starry Night, which is really, really cool in videos as well. So that is it.
This is going to be for this next winter?
Yep, this upcoming winter.
Where do all these installations go?
Where do they go?
Yeah, where are you going to put them?
That is the next thing we have to figure out. So as soon as we just got these all picked, it's a really long proposal process. And then once we have those all picked, we work with Parks Department.
So they might be staged in some
so they'll be in
sequence
different
another-
locations. Like, for instance, like the gnomes probably will be in Anabawen, once they're approved by parks, and just little things like that. Like the Talking Heads, we're thinking of putting on either side of the Blue Bridge, just little things like that. So we're working through all those logistics right now.
Good.
The gnomes aren't like off on the shelf where they sort of pop up at a different location.
I wish.
So
I wish it was.
wondering when they're going to be outside of Swift, like just randomly one morning.
In your parking lot. I wish. Unfortunately, they're a little too hard to move because you have to secure them down, and it's a whole blow-up situation with the power. So
when is the installation?
So it begins January 5th is when World of Winter begins, and then it goes until the end of the first week of March. So we'll be installing the couple weeks before then. Some of these installations will only be here for a month, and then some will be here for the full time.
Wow.
Megan, you mind touching on just some of the other programming planning that we're doing around it?
These are obviously the centerpieces of the event, but there's a lot of other things that go along with
Yeah,
the
so
event.
we bring these obviously for art activation, space activation within downtown. And then we go in and add different programming and events throughout the entire 2 months. So as I mentioned, there were 77 different events last year. That includes a bunch of different types of series, like pop-up performers and different performance series, as well as one-off events, like we did a drag show event, we did a silent disco to capture a little bit of a younger target market, and then we also focused on a lot of family-friendly events, of course. This year we actually get to use Rosa Parks Circle again, so we get to bring back Paint the Park, which is a huge hit. The community can come and paint the ice at Rosa Parks Circle. And then we also have Hungry Hippo Tournament, which is a huge one too. So we have a bunch of different programming in between everything, and then we also bring other pop-up programming in front of these art installations just to get people in front of them as well, so they know they exist.
As far as cost goes, how does that, is it more by the bid?
The DDA.
The DDA, okay.
The DDA approved funding for those installations at their meeting last week.
Got it, okay. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Other questions? Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Anxious to see this. Thanks, Monica. All right. Item number 6, funding authorization of downtown planning. That's you.
That's me. Hi, everybody. I don't have pictures. I thought I put pictures up here. Yes, so today I'm here to talk about downtown flower planting. So you'll probably recall that we haven't approved funding for this in a while because it's historically been part of the broader block-by-block contract. However, looking at costs for ambassador wages going up and things like that, it kind of became apparent evaluating those costs as well as these planting costs that we could actually save a little money by pulling these costs out of the contract and paying them separately, because as part of the block by block contract, they were charging a profit interest on them as they would with any other supply. And this number is pretty large, about $159,000. So with their profit percentage on top of that, which historically has been 6%, like we had an opportunity here to save some money, especially going into the new contract, knowing that the wages were going to be higher, and result ultimately in a larger contract dollar amount. So this is the first time we've sort of kind of disentangled that. So we use the RFP process for the ambassador program to also have them recommend a subcontractor for flower planting, which they maintain to be McCandy Gardens, which has been our flower subcontractor for I think 7 years now, since 6 years, since 2016. They've continued to do what I think has been a great job of bringing flowers down, activating flower beds, and really kind of giving us very diverse and unique and colorful flower installations throughout the year, and have really done a good job of also expanding our programming, or flower planting rather, in the winter as well, so that we can continue to bring color and sort of that feel of greenery all year long. So the total ask here is for $159,000, which includes a 12% contingency, but it's split between the DID and the DDA. The DDA approved their funding portion last month. The DID's funding portion is $112,615. And I should mention, as Bob pointed out to me yesterday, this is a budgeted expenditure in the DID budget currently. So this item, while no longer built into the block-by-block contract, still exists under the maintenance and operations line item. So this 112 plus is in the DID budget, so this isn't new expenditures. It's just looking a little differently than we have historically. But with that, I'll take any questions that anyone might have.
It's in the budget, just pulling it out as a subcontract to block by block, and we're gonna do it direct.
I will mention, they will still hold the contract for it, just as their
Block by block,
subcontractor. They're just going to pass the cost through directly to us
So
without
now we have the 6%.
without adding any of their profit onto it. Yes.
So Melvin, did they issue RFPs?
For block by
the
block, issue an RFP. I don't
For the
think-
beautification, for the flowers?
We issued an RFP for block by block and included beautification services, so flower planting, as part of that RFP. So we were asking contractors to bring
To separate it?
a subcontractor with us, and we had, in discussing the contract with block by block, they knew that we wanted to separate these costs out from their ambassador costs. So if you looked at which I don't have for you, but in the breakdown of the RFP that they provided us, they provide their costs, and then they have a sub cost for the flower planting that's separate from their budget and not included. So when you authorized funding for the ambassador program, funding for the flower program was not included because it was a separate line item.
Okay.
So these costs are just, block by block is simply acting as a pass-through entity
We
for us.
don't know for sure if block by block did an RFP for this work.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that they did, no. No.
But it's,
Is it for a year?
We're authorizing funding for a year, yes, correct.
Thank you.
and
We could issue our
specifically
own
carve it
RFP,
out of
yeah.
block by block's next
Yeah.
renewal, and
We could issue our own RFP and collect our own contractors and run that process and do the same thing, which I think is where we're eventually headed.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of other communities do it that way.
Yeah. Historically, it had been done that way.
Right.
I'm not sure, it predates my time here at the organization, but it was separate for a while, and then it was merged together.
What part of the black by block contract is coming out? They'll still manage it, costs will go down. How long is our black by block contract with that built in?
1 year.
1 year.
1 year,
So it's
yeah.
not like it's a
Right.
contract can't go up or down.
Right.
Right. Yeah, historically, we have had multi-years with block by block, but as we've been in this one.
But they're still gonna manage it just with no markup then?
Yeah, I mean, they manage it, but I also manage quite a bit of it. So like when in working with the costs, I work directly with McCandy to manage the cost and provide scope of work. So block by block
direct them to know what to
isn't
do.
the direct, block by block isn't directly providing like scope of work management. They're just managing it from the perspective of their horticulture team sort of needs to know where planting is happening so they can go and prep beds, water things that need to be watered, that sort of thing. But I actually do the communication and managing with McCandy Garden.
Good questions. All
Yeah.
right. Anything else?
The water issue on Fulton and the plantings on the boulevard part of Fulton.
In the median?
Yes.
Yep. We just dump a bunch of water on it.
Oh, the water truck comes through.
Yeah, the water truck comes through really early in the morning. I think we water that at 4 a.m. because that's when traffic is lightest for us to be able to get out there.
I noticed it's still green.
Yeah.
All right.
We going forward, I will say that as part of streetscape projects, we make sure to try to build in irrigation as much as we can to mitigate having to send people out to actually water things.
Okay, I need a motion to approve. Okay, second? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed, the same? All right, good.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Tim, you're up. Anything you got?
Yeah, just a couple of highlights for the benefit of the board. On some projects I assume a lot of you are familiar with, but just to make sure you're tracking updates. So the proposed amphitheater down on Market Avenue did get a state award of $30 million. So that project is still very much moving forward. I'm excited to see that take shape. Additionally, and maybe with a little less fanfare, 12,000-ish is the target right now. Additionally, the Public Museum also got a state award of $11 million. So they're doing a full-scale renovation, but also some improvements out front. They'll have a little bit more opportunity for river interaction. So I think that got a little less fanfare, but nonetheless another important riverfront development coming forward. Also wanted to highlight that the Calder Plaza master plan steering committee is getting back together. So some of you may recall we had a master plan done back in 2017. Got into some construction documents, hit pause primarily through COVID, and we're now getting that group back together just to start to look at phase 1 improvements there. So if anyone's interested in joining that group, we do have a couple of open seats at the table. But if not, we're happy to just keep you informed as that moves along. A couple business opening things to highlight. One, Perigo is now open, so 150 new employees over at Michigan and Monroe. Twist Think, which is a digital consulting firm, is also going into the same project over there at Michigan and Monroe. Total, that's about 187 jobs. And then Holo Footwear, which is an out-of-market company, is going into 50 Lewis, so 61 new jobs there. That, I believe, is opening this week, correct, Colin?
Tomorrow, grand opening.
Yep. So that's coming forward. That's 61 new jobs. So some good activity still in the office space. And then also wanted to mention, because I just got the email from Emily today, that the Arts Marketplace is also going to reopen at Studio Park. That's on Friday, correct? Yeah. So congrats on that. And then lastly, on the event side of things, because it is summer and there's a lot happening, just Relax at Rosa is back again. So tomorrow, come on out and enjoy the reopened park and some food trucks. We are also have kicked off a new summer series that we're calling the Summer Beatbox. We wanted to kick it off last week at Lion Square, but weather didn't cooperate. So it'll actually start up this Friday over at Van Andel Arena Plaza. The Water Festival, which was a huge hit last year and I think will be an even bigger success this year, is July 30th. And then we do have a new dog park slated to open on August 4th over on the west side. So those are just some of the DGRI activities going on. There's obviously plenty of other things happening downtown, so hopefully you can come out and enjoy some of it. That's my update.
Yeah, just a quick update too. So as part of the data reauthorization, we managed to get the resident assessment in. So Kenzie and I from our team have been working to convene a group of residents. We met with them last week, Tuesday, to sort of start brainstorming ideas and gathering perspectives on their time as residents here in downtown. We meet with them again next week to sort of take that to the next step and begin really drilling down and understanding how their quality of life is being impacted, what things would they like to work on. And so we're planning to try to meet with that group about every 2 weeks until we can develop a program or some sort of recommendation to bring forth to the DID board. Right now, we're targeting the DID's November meeting to have something to bring, whether it's an ask for funding for a project or several projects, or just an update on
projects that didn't require board level approval, and provide an update on how those things are going, and being able to kind of show what we're doing with the resident funds, as I'm sure we'll be talking about reauthorization at that time as well. And I'll enter.
Pretty good attendance at the meetings?
Yeah, we have 10 right now, and I think we've invited some more folks to sit around the table as well.
Good.
So.
All right, any other questions?
How
Yeah.
much is the total of the theater project?
Cost? It's a moving target. Estimated around 120.
Well, we got 30, right?
All right, anything else? Any other comments, questions? Public comment period, anything? Got one?
I just want to remind this board that I'm your mobile GR liaison. I'm Ken Gilsicano. If you have any questions regarding policy, traffic, signals, any of that.
Good, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We are adjourned, unless somebody got something else for the good of the order. Good, thank you. A little bit ahead of time. Good. Thank
Right
you.
on time.
Good meeting. Thanks everybody for coming. Yeah. Peter, I'll make a note. I won't do it the third time.